Hey, my friends, I'm not a gardener, but the thing I think that would be really helpful to keep in mind whenever you're working on something is not all seeds germinate and turn into plants. And sometimes even the seeds that turn into plants don't bear fruit. And in other cases, your garden goes wild. Every seed germinates, every seed turns into something, and you end up with such a harvest that you can't use all of it. And some of it goes fallow and some of it rots. Years ago, I owned a house here in Toronto, and one of the great prides of having that house was the backyard vegetable garden. Flowers are great. I love flowers. They're very pretty. But if I was going to put that much work into a garden, I wanted to get something out of it. And food is always something I'm going to be interested in. And what I learned in trying to maintain that garden and trying to grow different kinds of vegetables was that for the dozens and dozens of seeds I might plant, not every one of them became a plant. Not every one of them would germinate. Having remembered lessons from high school and grade school, I would actually germinate the seeds in paper towel dampened on a regular basis just to see which ones were actually going to produce something and which ones were just dead for whatever reason. And I would plant the ones that gave roots. And that was great. That was wonderful. That made sure that everything I planted pretty much produced something. But I also experimented. I experimented with fruits and vegetables that had no right growing in southern Ontario. Although with climate change now, I could probably repeat the experiment and be surprised to see what happens. But one of the things I tried, because I adore this fruit, was cantaloupe. I thought, let's see if it's warm enough. Let's see if the summer's long enough. And so I planted cantaloupe seeds just from a cantaloupe that I bought in the store. And damned if it did not produce a plant. I had this lovely green plant. I have no idea what a cantaloupe plant is supposed to look like, but this was looking pretty good. It even produced small flowers, indicative of fruit to come, but it never fruited. I never got a cantaloupe out of any of the cantaloupe seeds that I had tried to grow. And in other cases, I planted way too many cherry tomato plants. I adore cherry tomatoes. I'll eat them like candy if they're available. I planted, I think, 7 cherry tomato plants, not really knowing, again, how much fruit they would produce, and ended up with 7 cherry tomato plants that were each about 7 to 8 feet tall and were producing fruit faster than I could harvest it in numbers that my digestive tract could not have handled. Roughage is great, but and so what happened was the overripened fruit would fall to the ground, and the minute it hit the garden, it became the seeds for next season. And so the following season, where I decided I was only going to plant 1 or 2 plants, I still ended up with dozens of plants that I was constantly weeding out. The thing that I thought I wanted, beyond all other things, was a weed at a certain point. I was so grateful for the plants that I put in there that produced the fruit that I could have for that second season. But oh my God, there was so much of it that I just was yanking it out left, right, and center to get rid of it. I think the creative process is kind of like gardening. You get these seeds of ideas, and you have to be comfortable with the idea that some of them will never amount to anything. Some of them will percolate but not give you what you want, and others will just spin out of control if you're not careful. Years ago, I may have told this story before, but years ago I wrote a pun that showed up in my head. I wrote it in a notebook. And it just sat there. I didn't know what to do with it. And then as the years went by, I looked back in my notebook trying to find inspiration for something, anything really. Um, and I knew what to do with it. And I eventually wrote a screenplay based on that 3-word pun. Not even a joke, just a 3-word pun. And a story blossomed out of it. And a screenplay blossomed out of it. And I worked with someone to help me hone it. And eventually that screenplay won me the best screenplay for animated film award at the Nashville Film Festival. My first award-winning screenplay. In other cases, I've written stories based on small moments that I've passed in my life that were nothing. And then suddenly someone expressed interest and it turned into a short film that ended up being at the Louisville Film Festival, among others. Sometimes you plant things and it takes a while before it becomes the thing. You plant a seed in the earth, let's say for carrots. You're not going to eat the carrots the next day. It's going to take time for those seeds to germinate, for those seeds to turn into plants, for those plants to produce fruit or vegetable or whatever it is you want them to produce. It's going to take time. You're going to need to nurture it. It's the same with the seeds of creativity. They don't just produce simply because this thing has arrived in your mind or has started to germinate. You still need to maintain it. You still need to build it. And so that's the thing. It's you also have to, again, deal with the idea that sometimes it won't produce what you want. Does that mean it was a failure? Does that mean you suck at this? Not necessarily. Because you learn something in following that process and doing that maintenance that you can then apply to the next seed, the next creative seed you plant. So I don't think any of this time is ever wasted. I don't think any of this time and effort is just something you throw away. Because it teaches you lessons that you then don't have to learn the next time. But trust me, there will be new lessons you need to learn the next time. So tend that creative garden. Know that it's going to be a lot of work. Know that the outcome may not be what you want. But know that the process is what you need. Projects will go nowhere. Projects will go somewhere, but never achieve what you had hoped. Projects will catch fire and just keep you from producing anything because there's just so much coming at you. But within that, within those unknowns, the uncertainty, things will happen. You will produce fruit from your ideas. Just not all of them, which is probably a good thing because if you're creatively minded, you're probably producing way more ideas than you can feasibly accomplish. Things will produce fruit if you keep at gardening, if you keep tending those creative ideas. It's about time, it's about patience, it's about work, it's about acceptance. I think you're going to have a fantastic time if you keep with it. I wish you all the best in your gardening efforts. I've got a few things that are coming up in the near future. I'll post links down below. Some shows that I'm going to be doing, some storytelling shows here in Toronto later in the month of October. But there's always something going on around me. Again, this is an outcome. These stories are an outcome from a life lived, right? They're true life stories, maybe a little embellished. True life stories of things that have happened to me that I'm now translating into something that was never planned. Trust me, for one of the stories, I would have been quite happy to live without the events that trigger this story. But you make the best of things. I did not know these events in my past would bear fruit the way they are. We don't, so we plug away. So again, I'll put the links down below around the video or around the posts connected to this video. If you're in the Toronto area and you want to check it out, come out and see me. There will be other people telling stories too, so it's not just me. This is not a solo show, not yet. And again, share this video if you've got someone in your life who is maybe a little discouraged about their storytelling efforts or any creative effort, really. Hopefully my words will help give them a bit of impetus, and your care for them and their journey will give them the impetus to keep trying. Please like the video. Please, again, share the video. Leave a comment. Tell me what's going on in your creative garden. How are you planting seeds and bearing fruit, and what's been your experience with this? If you have a literal garden, tell me what you planted this past year. Tell me what you're, depending on what it is, getting ready to harvest as we get into heavy autumn here. And as we, in Canada at least, head towards the Thanksgiving weekend. Speaking of which, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for leaving a comment. Thank you for just doing what you're doing. I'm eternally grateful to all of you and to all of the people that support me. Take care. Have a great weekend.